Hey, besties and bosses, happy Tuesday. How's everyone's week going? I'm really excited for today's conversation. We've got Instagram with us as well, so we will have fun going back and forth. I was just telling Instagram that today's conversation is one that I've been having a lot with clients, and I think it's going to be a really fun one. It's one that, hey Andrew, nice to have you on Instagram instead of on Facebook. This is a conversation that I've been having a lot, and hey Miguel, a lot recently with clients, and it's one that I'm personally really fascinated by and really passionate about, and I really am excited to share my perspective on because it's played such a big part in building, growing, and scaling my business. And that's all around the idea of being your next level you so that you can create your next level success. If you've hung out with me for any certain amount of time, you've probably heard me talk about this concept, thank you Miguel, about this concept that we can't get to our next level success. We create our next level of success by doing what we've already been doing. In other words, what got you here, what got you to where you're at now. Starbucks is giving me reminders, that's funny. What got you to where you're at now isn't what's going to get you to where you want to go next. And I think that is a concept that we hear, it gets thrown around, be that next level you. I think whether we're talking brain science or we're talking manifesting, I think this is something that gets thrown around, and it can be a little confusing, I think, in the business world, because I think sometimes it feels a little bit like, what the actual fuck does that mean? Does that mean the strategy that got me here won't get me to where I want to go next? Does that mean who I am won't get me to where I want to go next? Does that mean that what I'm doing doesn't work? Like, what does that actually mean? And how can I practically understand this and use this so that I can create that next level of version success in my business and in my personal life as well? But I think those are always interconnected. So that is our topic today. Hey, Haley. Hey, TCM. I don't know what your name is, but hey, thank you all for joining me. Thanks for being here. Facebook, thanks for being here as well. I'm going sans notes today because this is one, hopefully this top stays on. It's very hot in the city. I'm wearing a very loose tank top, y'all. TMI. This is one that's just been in my head for so long, so you'll have to bear with me. I might float around the topic a little bit, but I have a lot to say on this. And those of you who are with me, if you have questions, if you want to reflect anything, if you have questions, let me know. I always love having a conversation around this, and I think in general, this is a topic in particular that would be really nice to flesh out with everyone so it doesn't feel so heady and confusing. Cool. Hey, Rich, nice to have you. Haley, I was just singing your praises to someone. Okay, so the way I'd love to break this down, I think it can be helpful sometimes to hear some of the science behind what I'm talking about around this concept, and then we can talk about what this looks like. I'll give some examples, and then we can break this down into some really practical, tangible tools you can take into your business, into your life, that I share with clients, that I use, so that you can not only step into and understand what it means to be that next level version of you, but so that you can also create those next level results, next level version of success. Cool. I think before we do that, let's just talk real quickly, this is important, about what your next version of success, your next level of success, what that actually means. I think this is really important to get clear on before we talk about who you need to be to create that, because otherwise, I know y'all have heard this analogy before, but otherwise we are kind of wandering around trying to create a strategy for something that we don't even know where we're going. And I think a lot of us have this vague idea of what that next level of success is for us, and oftentimes it is tied to metrics, which is cool. I'm all about that. I'm all about the income. I'm all about the impact. I think it's really helpful to flesh that out a little bit. If you know me, I talk about creating your version of success, to really get clear on what does that mean. Even if it is another income bracket, what does that actually mean? Why do you want that? What does that give you? What is that lifestyle? What is your business? What does that actually look like? Because otherwise it's going to be really hard for the rest of this conversation to connect the dots and to have it make sense. Hey Ramona, nice to have you. And thank you everyone else who's joining in. Let me know if that's making sense. I think, we can talk about reverse engineering any goal in life, right? And if we're not really clear on what that is, it's then very hard to practically create the steps to get there. So if we're just like, well, I don't know, next level of my business, like I'll know it when I get there, or that's just add another zero to my income, or that's some more money. Cool, yes, and what does that actually mean? Is it a really specific number? If it is a really specific number, what does that give you? One thing I have found really fascinating about growing my business and starting to be in a place where I'm making more money than I need, it's rarely about the money. It's about what sort of choices that gives us. It's about being able to dig into our work into a different way, being able to share things in a different way. It's about resources. It's about tools. It's about the way we're able to live our life so often more than the actual money itself. Even though, I'm all about the money, y'all. I love that we get to make money doing what we love. But I think that's the first piece. So in order to even know, and for us to have this conversation about being that next level you, to create that next level success, we need to know what that next level success is. Haley says totally makes sense. Thank you, lady. Okay, so that's the first piece. Really with anything, it's so much more helpful if we know where we're going. Then what I find, and this is something I talk about with clients a lot, and this is something that's been really powerful for me, in order to create anything in life, in order to create a next level of anything in our life, what has gotten us to where we're at now will not get us to where we want to go next. And that does not mean burn down your strategy. That does not mean you need to stop implementing the way you're implementing. That means who you are as a person, who you are being, is not going to be the person that will take you to the next level result. Who you are presently and what you see around you, your current reality, your current results, those are all a construct of previous thinkings, of previous ways of being. So, and I'm going to break down the brain science a little, and I swear I'm going to give you some practical tips here. And this, I'm all about manifesting, but we're going to put some science behind this. So, trying to think of a really good example for this. I'm a runner. You all know I'm a runner. As a runner, me being a runner, that result, I had to first, some time back, be the person who decided she was going to be a runner and have the thoughts, feelings, and actions to create that. I didn't wake up one day and become a runner and then have the thoughts, feelings, and actions be that person. I had to first be that person and then show up that way to create that result. It's the same exact thing in our business. In order to create a result, we have to think bigger than our current thoughts. We have to elevate ourselves to a new level, and then the outside world will catch up. And this is really practically because the way our brain works, our thoughts influence our feelings, influence our actions, influence the results we get. Again, so anything you're seeing now, that is a construct of thoughts, feelings, actions, results. I think I decide I'm going to be a runner. I feel into, what is that going to feel like? That means I'm going to wake up at a certain time, put on my sneakers, go to the gym and start running, even if I've never run before, even if I have never run 4 miles before. And then I'm going to take action and do that. And then I'm going to start to get the results, get into shape, and become a runner. I don't wake up suddenly able to run 4 miles and then decide to think I'm going to be a runner. Same exact thing in business. Transformational Solution says inspiring, thank you. Rich says 4-minute mile example. Yes, 4-minute mile example is a perfect example of this. So, and I'm gonna use that as a way to piggyback and work backwards with this a little bit. What happens for most of us? The reason we hit ceilings in our business, the reason we get, I don't even want to say confined, but the reason our results will stagnate and the reason we will find it challenging to get to the next level in business, and the reason what got us here won't get us where we want to go next is, again, this process, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Most of our thoughts are thought patterns that we have had for decades. Our brain is super lazy, y'all. It is really wired to conserve energy and to keep us safe. It has zero interest in growing your business. It has zero interest in growing an empire. It has zero interest in you getting to the next level. It has every interest in conserving energy and in staying safe. So if we have thought patterns, if we have ways of being, if we have beliefs, thoughts create feelings, create actions, create results, right? So if we have thoughts that we picked up 10 years ago, 20 years ago, most of our subconscious thoughts are formed by the age of 10. Those thought patterns have been wired into our brain, and they're really easy for our brain to latch onto. Again, our brain wants to conserve energy, so it will always go to whatever, if we're not being conscious and we're not consciously shifting our way of being, our way of thinking, it will always consciously go to what is the easiest thought pattern I can go to, even if it doesn't serve us, because it's saving energy. Now, layer on top of that, if that thought pattern is a thought pattern that in some way our brain thinks keeps us safe, AKA comfortable, our brain, again, is always going to latch onto that thought pattern that's already wired in there, that's comfortable and saves energy. Let me know if this is making sense. Which is why whatever we usually have in our life, the results we can see presently, is often based on previous thought patterns that we have had for a long ass time. This is why we tend to get stuck in ruts and we have a hard time growing to the next level, because our brain doesn't believe it's possible, or it can only, it can't see past the tip of our nose, right? It can't see a different thought, because as soon as we start to consciously see a different thought, It's like, no, save that energy, stay safe, go down that neural pathway in your brain that's super well oiled because it works so well and it keeps you safe. Mr. Dave Moore says thumbs up. These are going up, so I don't see if I have any other comments. Let me know if this is making sense. Besties and bosses, let me know as well. Ramona, it's nice to see you. So this can keep us in loops, right? So if we want to create a new level of success, and we've gotten really clear on what that is, oftentimes that's not what we presently have, right? It's a new level of success, which means we have to think bigger than our current thoughts. We have to create thoughts that are larger than what our brain is naturally. It's like a slip and slide, right? Anyone ever done slip and slide? I'm thinking summer. Slip and slide, it's like you just slip on it and it just like shoots you all the way to the end, even if you don't try to do anything. That's how the patterns in our brain are, the thoughts we've had for a long time that have gotten us our current results. It's like a slip and slide in our brain. If we don't want to slip down that slide, we have to very consciously start to think new thoughts, create new neural pathways, and start to think bigger than those thoughts so that we can feel bigger than those thoughts, so we can act bigger than those thoughts to create results that are bigger than those thoughts. Haley says, thank you for that. That makes me feel like this is making sense. So what is really awesome about being human and about not being my beautiful cat who I love? Cats might have a prefrontal cortex. I don't think they do. I think prefrontal cortex is something that is unique to humans. We have something called the prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex allows us to ideate. It allows us to brainstorm. It allows us to think and look into the future. It allows us to plan. This is the part of the brain that is magical and allows us to start to create these higher level thoughts. If we can consciously tap into this and start to think higher than our current thoughts, again, we can shift our feelings, which will shift our actions, which will shift our results. Yeah. I'm going to give you some practical ideas around this. Here's what's really important. So if we want to create a new level of success, we need to tap into our prefrontal cortex. This is just science. We need to do this over and over and over again so that we can start to lay down new neural pathways in our brain. This is how those old memories that are creating your current results, those are just a slip and slide because we've been doing them. We've been like on that slip and slide so long, it doesn't take any energy. We have to consciously use up some energy to create those new thoughts and create a new slip and slide in our brain so that our brain can slide down those paths, and that's how we start to up level in life. And here's the thing, this is why I'm talking about being the next level you. If we want to create these results in our business, we then have to consciously start to step into, not just think these thoughts, feel these thoughts, but step into the action piece of who that person is who has that next level life, those next level business results before we actually get the results. I'm gonna, hey Kobina House, Quilt, hey Robert Jackson, hey Joseph, hey Joe, nice to have you all here. So we have to step into that first. Again, remember, we're gonna use the running example. We don't decide result. I wanna be able to run. We don't decide, well, when I can run 4 miles super easily, then I will believe it, then I will feel like a runner and take care of myself, and then I'll show up for the run. We have to be that person first to create the results. It is like this in any single part of your life. Great results and not so great results. Everything. So you can get a really great idea of where your current mindset is if you take a look at your current results. Let me know if y'all are still following me. Again, I'm not going off notes today, so I think I'm just a little ranty and excited about this. So what I find is really powerful in business, if we want to grow, and most of us do, is to get really clear again on what is that next level of success for us, and to get really clear on that. And then to think about and get clear and really start to envision, who do I have to be? Who will I be? Who am I? Who is the person that has those next level results? What does this person think? What does this person feel? What is this person doing? And really start to dig in. Because I think a lot of us, again, we start to think, well, when that happens, I don't know, like I'll just handle it, or like then I'll figure it out, or then a bunch of things will fall into place, or then I'll feel better, or then all my money issues will be solved, etc., etc. Y'all, it doesn't work that way. We have to get really clear on, who is that person? Who are you being as a person being? And then start being that before the result comes. Result always follows what you're being. It doesn't come the other way around. Your 6-pack abs don't come before you start acting like the person who wakes their ass up and goes to the gym and does crunches and eats really healthy, right? You have to do that first, and then you get the six-pack abs. It's not the other way around. It's not like you get the six-pack abs, and then that allows you to have the thought process and be that person. Same in business. So we have to be that person first, and this is a really challenging exercise, and it's so powerful because it's a little bit of a mind fuck, because here we are presently, and we don't have the results yet. We don't have the 4-minute mile. We haven't seen it before. 4-minute mile reference is the idea that, you know, if we haven't even seen the result before, it's really hard to believe it. We don't have the six-pack abs yet. We don't have the business success yet, whatever that next level is. And so I think it can be a really challenging place to start being that person ahead of time. Most of us, remember, brain's wired to conserve energy and brain is wired to keep us safe. That is all sorts of uncomfortable. Just starting a business, it hits all sorts of edges and growth edges. And so then to tell someone, okay, well, the way to get there is you got to be that person first, and then you're going to get the result. It's like, wait, what does that even mean? And so that's what I want to talk about practically, because I think the more you can start to understand this, and the more you can start showing up as, making decisions from, taking actions as, thinking and feeling as the next level you now, the faster those next level results show up. Again, because that beingness is always going to precede the results. Is this still making sense, y'all? Let me know. Y'all are very quiet, so let me know if this is still making sense. So always, always, always in anything in life, we have to be it first before we have it. And so here's some practical things. What I love to do with clients, thank you for the thumbs up. What some of my clients love to step into, this is a practice I personally use that I love. I am presently living the result of a previous me, and I feel like I have had to kill a past me in a loving way to be here, and I'm now living into a next level me before the results come. So I'll share that with all of you. What I find to be really helpful, because I think Haley says yes, thank you, is to, as we get clear on who is this next level me, who would he, she be? How would they think? How would they act? How would they show up? What would they be doing? How would they be spending their days? What would they be feeling? As we get clear on these, I find it really helpful for me and for many of my clients to give this next level you person a name. And here's why. This is something my coach had me do. This is something a few of my clients have done. The reason I think this is incredibly helpful is we are often, have you ever found it's easier to give other people advice than to give yourself advice? We get so wrapped up in our own stuff. And again, remember our old ways of being, our current way of being, those are usually based on past memories, neural pathways that are incredibly strong, ways of thinking, thought patterns that are very, very strong. It's really hard to see the forest for the trees. So it can be really helpful to give ourselves a persona. It's still us, but that's almost outside of us, because then we can look at it from almost the observer perspective. We can take advice from or give advice to, because it doesn't feel like it's us. We're going to step into it. You will know when that is you, because your results will match up with it, right? The results will start, you'll feel the difference, and you'll feel like a former part of you has like gone away and shed. It's a very bizarre feeling. But I think it can be really helpful to get clear on this and then give this person a name, because then you can also tap into and start to make decisions and ask questions to this future you, who you are going to embody now. And it doesn't feel so heady. It's like, I think otherwise we start to like, let me get into my prefrontal cortex. Like, is there like a password for that? And then let me think my future self and thoughts. Like, for me, that's very heady. I like to know the science behind it, and I like to know that's how my brain is wired, and I like to know when I tap into that, and if I repeat this enough, it's going to create new neural pathways, and that's going to shift my life. All that is great. But if I actually sit down to practically do that, to me, that's very heady, and I'm like, like what? And so I find Frogo. Gosh, I'm gonna butcher your name on there. He says, I love that. Yay! I'm glad this is resonating with you all. So my current me, I'll just share this with you. It's so funny. I called her Kim 4.0. I feel like I've gone through a few versions of Kim, and I will share with you, this is such a funny thing. I was talking about this with a client recently. It sometimes feels, and I said this a second ago, it sometimes feels like Kim 3.0 or Kim 2.0, who I love and I'm so grateful for, but I feel like she kind of had to die, go away, as morbid as it sounds, for Kim 4.0 to live. Kathy. Okay, that's a lot easier. Kathy, thank you. Nice to have you here. Thanks for chiming in. So Kim 4.0, when I was stepping into being Kim 4.0, it made it so much easier for me to get clear on who is she? What does she think? What does she feel? How does she show up for her business? How does she show up for her clients? How does she show up for sales calls? How does she show up for follow-ups? How does she show up every day? Like, what time does she wake up? And then when I had a decision to make, to ask her to check in with, what would Kim 4.0 do here? How would Kim 4.0 invest in this? And to start to make decisions from this place. I will even spend from, that's almost like a money manifesting thing, but I think it actually works quite practically, because I know as I become this next level me, the results are inevitable. Like, it's just science, it's how it works. So I will also spend my money that way. So now I've got a new future me, but let's say I was still hanging out with Kim 3.0 and I had to make a decision about a business investment, or I had to make a decision about a personal spending investment. Instead of deciding from here, I want to decide from Kim 4.0, because that's the person I want to be now to create the next level results. And so that goes down to, that goes into everything, like hiring, or how I'm going to show up in an email response, how I'm going to show up with all of you here. Is this making sense from a practical level? Kathy says, I'm Kathy 2.0, but I feel like I'm coming into Kathy 3.0. Yes, I love hearing that. Yes, yeah. And I'm doing great. Thank you, Mikwala. Am I pronouncing that correctly? And you don't have to use the the 3.0 or the 4.0 version. For me, I don't know why. It almost sounds like I'm programming my brain, so it works for me. But I have other clients who've given them actual names or fun names tied to income goals. The whole point is it gives us a reference point that feels outside of ourselves. Because remember, we are creating a new way of being. We're essentially creating a new level of us, and we're very lovingly, with a whole lot of gratitude, killing off the current version of ourselves. And I think that can be helpful then when we have a little bit of separation. And I think in general, from a mindset perspective, anytime we're shifting or working through mindset patterns, when we can create a little bit of separation, we don't fuse together. So old patterns that maybe aren't serving us, a lot of times we get hooked into triggers. We fuse. It's almost like two sheets of paper. They get stuck together, and it's really hard for us to see what's going on and to create enough space to think differently, feel differently, and act differently. If we can create that little bit of space between thought and feeling, like a little tiny piece between those two pieces of paper, then they're not stuck together. And that's when we can start to create those neural pathways and think differently. Does that example make sense? I always find, for some reason, that makes sense to me. A lot of us, and I'm sure you've experienced this before, right? When you have some of those thought patterns that are really pervasive and strong, that are linked to sometimes more difficult past memories, it is like those two pieces of paper are glued the fuck shut, and it's really hard to create any separation so we can stand outside of it and see what's really going on and realize, oh, what's actually happening here has nothing to do with this situation and everything to do with what happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I can't see that though, because feelings, thoughts stuck together. But again, when we can create that little bit of separation, it's a lot easier to be able to literally within a situation create that separation and then choose a higher level thought, which will give us a higher level feeling, and that's how we start to rewire the brain and be that next level us in the present. That's how we shift patterns in our brain, which is why I think having that name can be very helpful, because that just helps create that separation. Just seeing if there's any comments here. I don't think so. So separation, powerful. So giving it that name. And then the other piece here that I think is just a really practical tool to take for something that again can feel a little bit heady is to start to, so whatever your mindset practice is, whatever your mindset work is, however you like to embody that, to spend some time visualizing that person or journaling, asking this next level you questions, and really starting to embody and showing up as, so we'll use Kim 3.0 to Kim 4.0, showing up as Kim 4.0, and getting clear on that, and quite practically starting to take actions from that place. And so if, I'm trying to think of a good example here. So for example, if I was going, we'll use a business example. If I had a sales conversation, Kim 3.0 might have handled the follow-up procedure one way. Nope, that's kind of working, that's working well. Kim 4.0 might handle it slightly different. And I'm really clear on that. I'm really clear on why, because she feels a little more confident, or because she's a little more nuanced, or feels a little better, a little more empowered having a conversation around money. Or maybe because she believes in her work that much more and the results she can help people achieve that much more. And so as something as simple as a follow-up response, I'm gonna wanna make sure I'm writing it from that place versus my previous place, because I already know what kind of results Kim 3.0 gets. She's awesome. I love her. She was great. But I want to step into that next level, which means I really want to make sure I'm taking actions from that place. Is this still making sense, y'all? Okay. You are very quiet, so feel free to chime in, questions, reflections. Again, I went with no notes today, so I'm hoping I'm sharing this all in a way that makes sense. I'm going to give another gym example. So let's say, and I think sometimes fitness examples help. Let's say, thank you, Robert, for the thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to take it that makes sense. We'll just use, let's say, your next level you, and let's say your next level you's name is Buff Bob. I like alliteration. What can I say? So Buff Bob, my top, this is not what I should wear on live stream again, y'all. Buff Bob wants to feel really healthy. Not only does Buff Bob want to be buff, but you've really gotten clear on this next level you, Buff Bob, is someone who works out regularly. They think really healthy thoughts. They feed their body with healthy fuel. They drink lots of water. They wake up early to go to the gym. They prioritize that every day. Part of the reason is for how it makes them feel. It makes them feel confident. It makes them feel really great within their actual body. They feel healthy. They, I'm trying to think of what else they might feel. They just feel so, I'm like riffing here. They feel wonderful, right? So, but right now you're not Buff Bob. I'm going to use me. I'm Kim. So what I want to do when my alarm clock goes off at 7 a.m. because Buff Bob has decided that Buff Bob goes to the gym and works out and, shows up for the workouts and also eats really well. As Kim, it'd be really easy to have my usual pattern, which is the night before, I might go get some pizza because I love pizza. Or I might decide I prefer to work out at night. Or I might decide that my girlfriends are going out and I want to have a glass of wine with them. That would be my current present reality. And it'd be really easy to show up like that and then in the morning try to drag my ass out of bed and try to make this thing happen. Versus if I am being Buff Bob now, I probably would say, hey friends, I'll join you, but I'm gonna have a glass of water with lemon. And hey, I treat my body like it's a vessel of health. I'm gonna go for the salad and I'm gonna have some really healthy proteins. I wanna make sure I'm fueled for my workout tomorrow. And I'm gonna leave a little early so I can get a great night of sleep because I'm Buff Bob. And when I wake up, I'm gonna wake up so excited because this is just how I approach my days. Do you see how then suddenly you show up completely differently and you're embodying the results before they've even happened? That was like the worst example I probably ever came up with on the spot, but y'all know what I'm saying, I think. Kathy says, when journaling your future self, what prompts would be best to know who future self is? I love this question. I think somewhere, I should find if I have I do have a form somewhere with a set of questions that I could share with you. So remind me if you DM me, I will send those to you. But I think what can be helpful just for everyone listening is to think about, who am I? Like if I envision the next level self, who am I? What am I thinking? What do I do every day? You can get as practical as how do I spend all parts of my day? So for example, my next level me, the next level of Kim that I'm stepping into, I know at this level in my business and to create to the next level Kim spends quite a fair amount of time, I call it ideating, but thinking and really grounding into and digging deeper into my work versus just, putting myself out there. Like that's something I do. So currently what I got clear on that, right? I was like, what does next level Kim in her business, what does she look like? How does she spend her days? What are her hours like? What does she think? What does she feel? What does she believe? What does she know to be true? What kind of decisions does she make? One of the decisions I got clear on that I know she makes is that she carves out that time. And so I then now have to embody that. So I put that into my calendar. It is now blocked off in my calendar every day. I don't know if that helps as an example. So I think you can get, you can daydream a little bit about what are these results. And then I think really practically just thinking about who are you being on a day-to-day basis? How are you showing up? I think also just like, what do I know to be true? I think is such a great question to ask ourselves. What do I know to be true as that next level version of me? So for example, I got messages popping up. I think another great example is I'm very grateful. It's not about this, but I'm very grateful I'm hitting another record-breaking income month in my business. I already knew that to be true at the beginning of this month because I'm at Next Level Kim and she just already decided that was true. And so I just had to show up and be a certain way for that. One of the things I knew was true for her though is that Next Level Kim who hits those next level incomes in her business, She shows up and sells a certain amount of time. She shows up and makes offers. She has to show up. I know she shows up and shares with you that she's good at what she does. Where Kim 3.0 and Kim 2.0 definitely did not, and Kim 3.0 felt really uncomfortable doing that. So I don't know, Kathy, if that helps, just to give you some ideas, and I'll see if I do have that. I do somewhere have kind of like a little mini workbook that I can share with you. Kathy says, hands up and congratulations. And Robert, it has the muscle. I'm scared to lift my arms up too much, y'all. I think this top is not going to stay on properly. Carla's watching. Oh, hey, Carla, nice to have you here. Kathy says, yes, thank you. So my pleasure. But if you DM me, I will send that to you. You don't have to sign up for anything. I will find that. Anyone else as well, if you DM me, I will share that with you. It's more based on identity, but it's a similar concept. So I think that's just, and thank you for the congratulations. I couldn't do it out with all of you, so thank you. And I think that's, you know what is nice about that, actually, I think that's a little bit full circle here to speak to. I think it's just really great evidence that what I'm talking about works. This isn't something that's just woo. This isn't, I mean, it is a little woo, but it's also backed in science. But this isn't just something that sounds good or is a fun journaling exercise. This works. It is science. If you replace your thoughts, replace those feelings, replace the actions, and the way you are showing up and being energetically as a person, you will change your results. It is just the way the world works, and like, it's just, you guys, I'm so nervous about this. This is like live stream for real. I'm gonna tie this while I'm talking to you all. This next level Kim doesn't worry about things like her top coming off on a live stream. But I think it's just really nice to see that does actually play out in reality. And I see it with my clients all the time. You know, we talk a lot about mindset work, and this is a portion of mindset work, but part of what they're doing and part of the reasons they hit those next levels in their business, and part of the reason they're able to scale to, whether it's 10K months or 30K months or, you know, up to 100K month, part of the reason is, again, it's not because when we talk about what got you here won't get you there, it's not because they're reworking their strategy. It's not because they're working harder. It's not because they're frantically trying to find a new way outside of themselves. It's because of who they're being and what they're stepping into and how they're showing up in the role of CEO in their business. And I see it with myself, but I see it with my clients as well. So I do think it's helpful just to know this works. But for this to work, you do have to step into and be that every single day before the results come. Again, remember, who you're being is always going to precede the result. And I think that's the piece that becomes challenging, or it can become a little bit of a mind fuck, because we live in an instant gratification world. We want the results before we have to do anything for them. We want evidence that something's going to work. We always want those on the front side before we have to shift and before we have to be something different. And I know I've used this silly example before, but even with Amazon Prime, y'all, for me to get a result from Amazon Prime, for Amazon Prime to deliver something on my doorstep, I still have to go in and be the person who knows and trusts that they're going to deliver what I ask for, and go onto Amazon and put in my credit card information and tell them to send it to me. Silly example, but it's the same thing in business. And of course, and I think it's even then if we think about, you know, who's that next level me, that next level me might also be looking at areas in my business and getting clear on where do I need to lean into strategy? Where do I need support? For me, I know part of next level me, so I have someone in the back end who supports me. I'm starting to, train's the wrong word, but have her do some things that I don't necessarily need right now, but I know next level me needs that. And I know that the only way I'm getting there, and also the only way I'm not going to like have a result and crash and burn, is to be that now, to start acting into, and it's not really acting as if, it's just being that now and setting that up now. Hopefully that's making sense as an example. Kathy says, I'm totally with you on that. It does work. Hey, Jim Rabbi, it really does work, you all. It sounds like magic, and I guess technically it's manifesting, but I really think it's also just science. Like, I think that's the beautiful thing about manifesting for those of you who, and I will close on this thought. Let me know if you have any questions though. Manifesting, energy, the universe. I am 100% fully bought into all of that, but here is what is so wonderful about that for someone like me, and if you're anything like me, I really like to have the science and like to understand the brain science and understand what my part in that is, and I need to know the science behind something for the more spiritual, mystical stuff to make sense for me, right? I know it works. I see evidence of it all the time, but it's really helpful for me to understand it and to lean into it more when I can see the science behind it. And so part of what I've done is spent a lot of time researching the brain science and just the science behind what all of that is. What I find for those of you, whether you're on fully spiritual manifesting or where maybe you're more like me and you're kind of in between, what I find to be wonderful is it doesn't matter what side you're on. They're the same thing. It's just different language we're using for either one. We can talk about manifesting, we can talk about the brain and how the brain works and how we can rewire our brain. They both work, and so it's really nice because I think we can have that science to reinforce manifesting, or manifesting an energy in the universe can reinforce the brain science. Chicken and egg, what came first? I don't really know, but I know that helps me to understand it more. So I think that can be just a helpful thing to just to know if sometimes some of those concepts can feel a little heady. Let's see. Jim Robbie says, hey, you're live again. I'm live every Tuesday at 5:30. Hang out with me every week. I love having you here. Kathy says it's energy, brain science, physics. Yes, it's physics, it's energy, it's brain science, it's neuroscience, it's manifesting. I always say call it whatever you want to. It's all kind of the same thing. We just have different ways to talk about it. And I think what's nice about having these different ways to talk about it is, I find for most of us, I know at least me, I need to hear things over and over again until they click, until the concept clicks. And even what we're talking about here, this is a concept that is not new to me. This is a concept I've been practicing for a long time. But the more ways I hear it and the more ways I understand it, the more ways I'm able to lean into it and embody it and understand it in a different way. It's like anything, right? I mean, running is easier the more I run. That's not a great example here, but you know what I'm saying. So yes, call it whatever you want. I think it's nice to have those different lenses too to reinforce it, and the more we hear it, the more we can lean into it and understand it and actually apply it to our businesses and lives. Kathy says manifesting and abundance too. Jim Rabbi says, he says, what was the topic today? Quick recap. I will give you a quick recap in a second. Kathy says yes. You all are making me so happy. Thank you for being here. Facebook, you're very quiet today, but thank you for hanging out with me as well. And besties and bosses, I know some of y'all also watch this on the replay, so drop those questions for me. I'm always happy to reply to questions. Quick recap, and then I will hop off because I think we're getting late and my boys are gonna be home soon for dinner. Quick recap, Jim Rabbi, what is your name also? I think you told me maybe the last time just so I can remember. Hey Grant, you're catching the end of this. Thank you for being here. Quick recap was the whole concept between how to step into the next level version of you to create your next level of success. And so as a recap, and thank you for the question because actually I think it can help summarize this all up and we'll tie it in a neat bow. In order to become the next level you, in order to create your next level success, you have to become the next level you first. Who we are is always going to precede our results. It always is. We were just talking about whether that's manifesting or you want to call it science, whatever you want to call it. What we're thinking, what we're feeling, the actions we're taking, that's always going to come before our results. Even if the result is I'm going to win the lottery, I have to first think, I'm going to win the lottery. I really feel and know this to be true. I'm going to go buy my lottery ticket. I'm going to keep buying that lottery ticket until I win the lottery. So even for something like winning the lottery, who we're being, that has to precede the result. What I find to be really helpful in business is to get clear on what does your next level version of success, what is that and what does that actually mean to you? Even if it is a income number, what does that income number actually mean to you? What does your actual life look like? And we talked about, Jim always says, go. When you go by Coach Gabrielle, nice to have you. Gabrielle, hopefully I'm saying that right. Thank you for giving me your name. So I think what can be really helpful, any goal, anything we want in life, it's really helpful if we know where we're going so that we can reverse engineer it. So that includes, if we're going to reverse engineer who we have to be to precede the result, we want to get really clear on what that result is. And especially since what we're talking about is who we're being, so that's what we're thinking, what we're feeling, some of those energetics, who we are, how we're physically showing up in the world, how we are embodying ourselves to create those results. I think it's really helpful in business to get clear on, yes, what is that next level success? What are those results? But also more specifically, what does the landscape of your business and life look and feel like? Why do you want those results? What are those results giving you? So if it is an income number, money loves a purpose, right? Instead of just having an arbitrary income number, really getting clear on how that serves you, how that serves your business. What is it for? Whether monetarily what you're spending it on, or what is that allowing you to invest in your business, etc. And then getting clear on then when we look at those results, who do you have to be to create those results? Because what got you here isn't what's going to get you there. And again, we're not talking about redoing your strategy or you have to redo your website, maybe you do, but it's a lot more about what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Who are you being? What kind of decisions are you making? What do you need in your business? And then starting to embody and be that person presently. And the faster you step into that person now, the faster those results will come and meet you. But there's usually a time gap. There's usually a time lag. So I think that's kind of the quick, brief summary, Coach Gabrielle. All right, I don't think I see any other questions. If you do, throw them in real quick. If you want to DM me with any questions, feel free. Besties and Bosses the same. Kathy has one. Kathy says, who do you have to be to get the results you want? Yeah, who are you being? How are you showing up in the world? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What decisions are you making? How do you approach everything? And I think it's almost like, I'm an ex-actor, so this is something that probably feels a little more fluid for me, but I sometimes like to think about it as if I were creating a character, these are all things I'd want to know, and then I want to step into that character and be that person. I don't want to read a script. I don't want to pretend to be that person. If I'm acting, I want to fully embody and be that character. That's where the best acting is going to come from, and then respond to the world around me as that character. If anyone follows acting, this is the same idea. We don't want to just write this down as like a concept. We want to try to step fully into who this person is. It's us, but it's kind of like we got to shed, like we said, we got to shed off that old version of us to step into this new version of us. And often that does mean some thought patterns and some ways of being and some ways of showing up have to go away. But I promise you, it's always better. It's always better in the next level of you. Okay. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Kathy says, oh wow, that acting reframe really helps me. Thank you. Oh, good. Okay, I'm gonna remember that one helps. Thank you. I'm so happy that makes sense. Yay. Okay, any other questions or thoughts? If not, I'm gonna let you all go. Thank you for hanging out with me. This was a fun conversation. Thank you for being here. Wishing you a beautiful week. And then next Tuesday, same time, same place, 5:30. I'm always on. We'll have a new topic that I will bring with you. And on Wednesday, I will have a sign up for, we always do some sort of free training each month. This month is going to be all around questioning the rules in business for business success. So it's going to be a 3-day challenge. I'm still working on some of the back end sign up stuff, so I'll make sure we have links Instagram in my profile and Facebook. I'll make sure we have some links in the Facebook group to sign up for that probably tomorrow. All right, lots of love, y'all. Bye.